Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, the new Piggy update came today, and there was one coming this weekend, if you guys didn't know. And so if you see this on the screen right here on the bottom, it says Pages. So let's click on that. And we click on Pages, we have book 1 and a mystery. So the mystery is just book 2, but it's not out yet because Piggy book 2 is not finished yet. We only have chapters 1 through 7 of book 2, but let's click book 1. So if we go here, then we have this whole recap of the whole Piggy story. So I got the house, I got station, I got gallery, forest, school, hospital, metro, carnival, and city, mall, outpost, and plant. So let's just go back really quick. So guys, if you guys want to know how to get these, I was playing this with my Danger 12, but I didn't screenshot all of them, so yeah, that was kind of unfortunate for me, but I screenshotted some, but I don't want to show you guys all the screenshots I posted because I want you guys to try to find it, but here are some screenshots of it right here. So you guys saw the screenshots. Well, just go to, so you have to find 6 pages in each chapter. So, and then you have to start from chapter 1 house to chapter 12, and then it's going to say this dialogue here. So I'm going to be reading this. It says chapter 1 house, and then this picture says the Piggy household looks oddly peaceful. And so it says, I was tasked to investigate reports of a missing child named Georgie. As I arrived at the Piggy's household for any leads, I began to notice things were off. It was unusually quiet and quiet. A breeze of unsettled surrounded me as I stepped out of my vehicle. Without a moment to react, I blacked out and woke up in the bedroom of the house with being a headache. Someone had knocked me out and brought me here, but why? If they wanted to get rid of me, why didn't they finish the job? While attempting to piece things together, I encountered a strange, crazy pig with different eyes and a hunger for hers. I didn't talk. It just chased me. Terrifying, as soon as I escaped the house, I decided to get back to the station and get help. Well, we have been here seems to be much more than a missing animal case. So basically, this is the diary of the player, which is technically everybody. So this is basically from the player's point of view, and I think Maintain did this to show how the player's reaction to all these things in a Piggy story, which is really cool, and he's wrote all these stuff. So let's go to chapter 2 now. So here we go. Chapter 2, Station. When I reached the station, I had found it to be unusually quiet. No officers celebrating, no criminals rattling their cell doors, nothing. Then the intercom system sported out a warning to get to the garage. The voice sounded familiar. It was Doggy, my old partner. I don't know why he showed up on his day off. Maybe it was a distress call that all officers received while I was unconscious in the Piggy house. As I crept over to unlock the garage, I encountered yet another strange-looking pig. It appears to have black eyes and a violent attitude, just like the last one. What is it with these animals? What happened to them? And what made them like this? Once I opened the garage door, fueled the escape car, and left with Doggy, I felt a sense of dread overwhelm me. I got out, but did not feel safe. I needed to find out what was going on. And then the picture says, the cell's all empty. I guess they took advantage of the situation. So basically this is the player's perspective again, but I think this is explaining Mother Piggy with the black eyes. So I think it's technically saying that like piggies that have black eyes are more quiet maybe, but wait 1 second guys. Okay, so basically I think it's saying that the piggies with the black eyes are more violent maybe, and more like attacking more than the others maybe. But let's just move on to chapter 3. So chapter 3 gallery. So the picture says sealing yourselves in wasn't the best idea, I'll admit. So they sealed themselves in from that escape door that we have to unlock. So chapter 3 gallery. It turns out the gas can I picked up was almost empty because we found ourselves running out pretty quick. To make matters even worse, we stopped in the middle of the city. A couple of the infected, as Doggy calls them, surrounded our car. We rushed into the nearby building in the gallery. I haven't been here since we started investigating over a reported robbery last month. It seemed to be a little rundown as well. We quickly sealed the building, only to soon realize that the infected entered as well. It was very strange to see a place once so calm, because so chaotic. Doggy told me that he never liked galleries anyway. So that's funny. I really like this because it's the player's diary and it's his perspective of the situations, though, which is basically telling the people that the player is interesting character, though, with his reaction. So I think Main Two's trying to get the player to be more part of the story too. So let's go to chapter 4. So chapter 4 forest, and then the picture says others had the idea to stay too. It looks like it worked out the same way as it did for us. So it looks like other people were trying to stay at the forest. So let's see what the player has to say. Chapter 4 forest. Doggy and I have been safe and sound in this forest for 2 weeks now. We've been silently visiting small towns and taking supplies from them. We spoke for days about what we'll do when it's over. Doggy said he'd like to travel south someday and visit old settlements and ruins. I don't know what I'd do. I couldn't get my mind off of the world state. One night, I woke up to discover a broken and empty potion and a missing friend. I looked around and found Doggy. He was one of them. My gut sank, and I felt weak. Where did this potion come from? And why did he drink it? Was he forced to? He had red eyes, not like the others. Someday, I will get to the bottom of this. As I left the forest to no longer be faced with such a harsh blow to my heart, I came across the radio with the voice that instructed me to head to the school. Clinging onto anything to distract my mind, I followed their instructions. So basically, the player's saying that he felt like really weak ever since that Doggy got infected, which is sad to hear because Doggy's the player's best friend though. And it says his gut sank, which means he felt weak. But basically at the beginning it says that, so for a month, Doggy and the player have been visiting small towns for a month, trying to get some supplies, though. But then one night, Doggy drank the potion and said it. But here we go. Let's move on to chapter 5. So, chapter 5 is school. And then the image says, the empty halls are haunted. And then, so here we go. Still recovering from the loss of Doggy, I felt out of touch with reality, like I was a blur just floating through time. However, I pressed on. The radio I found in the forest instructed me to help them out and find their friend trapped in a school. Maybe if I couldn't save my friend, I could help them save theirs. That's when I met Bunny, a sharpshooter bunny with an eye patch. She had barricaded herself in the school surveillance room after a failed supply run. She was very kind, not to mention thankful. Her enthusiasm inspired me to be strong and get a hold of myself. As we headed to the sewers to meet up with the mysterious radio voice, my head started burning up. I did not feel too well at all. I ignored it and continued moving forward. We met with Mr. P, a very rich celebrity. It was certainly strange to find someone of his status walking around in the sewers. He thanked me for my help, but the more he spoke, the harder I found it to pay attention. My heart hurt more and more until I passed out there. The last thing I remember was being wheeled in a hospital and seeing Doggy. So this is interesting. So now I think like if you get more toward exit or the escape doors open, like your heart's like you're like more weaker. But basically what Mr. P's like, oh thank you, and then you just pass out. So it's probably because Doggy, because you really miss Doggy so much that you passed out because you miss him so much, and you don't know what to do without him, and this infection is just going wild. So let's just go on to chapter 6 now. So chapter 6, hospital. And so the picture says, what a mess. It suddenly seemed like a rush to get out of here. Okay, here we go. I woke up in a hospital with Bunny on my side. She seemed to lighten up when she saw my eyes open. Bunny explained that Mr. P and the researchers didn't think I'd make it, as I showed minimal symptoms of the infection. She didn't give up on me, though. I rescued her, so she believed it was her duty to protect me from being tossed out and deemed a lost cause. Bunny also told me that I woke up in the perfect time as the place was being evacuated. A doctor was infected and caused severe panic. I jumped out of bed and got to the rooftop, where a helicopter was supposedly waiting for us. It wasn't there. They left without us, to who knows where. Bunny and I needed to come up with a way to get out of the hospital ourselves, and fast. So Bunny knew that it was her duty to protect the player when we woke up, though. So Bunny's basically saying, Bunny knows that we helped her, so she thinks she needs to return the favor, though. So that's really interesting, and I love this player's perspective of all the chapters, though. So let's go to chapter 7, let's see what the dialogue with the player thinks of Bunny becoming infected. So here we go. Chapter 7, Metro. And then the picture says, You will be missed, Bunny. We made our way through the hospital and down to the underground metro. Bunny and I spoke about Mr. P. I told her my disbelief in him. I could not understand why he would not wait a moment longer for us. She explained that lately he has been more and more and obsessed with his research for a cure. Upon finally reaching the metro, I started to work on repairs for the train. Bunny sat down, not feeling too well. She told me she needed to rest a little before going on and let me cross well. When the repairs were ready, she told me that she was infected. I was very reluctant to believe her. She explained that she was one of the test subjects of Mr. P's cure tests at the hospital. Hers did not go so well. I told her that we could find a cure, and she could hold on long enough to find it. Bunny didn't want to go on if she feared putting me in danger. I got on the train, looking back at her as she stayed back behind to fight off any infected that may still be there. My heart hurt, and my fist clenched. I was going to find Mr. P. So this is basically saying the feelings of the player when he saw Bunny become infected. He thought Bunny was lying that Bunny said she was infected. But when the player got on the train, his heart just sank again. And then he clenched his fist because he was angry at Mr. P because he lost Bunny now and Doggy. So he wanted to get revenge on Mr. P. So he wanted to find Mr. P. So now let's move on to chapter 8. So, chapter 8, Carnival. The picture says, a beautiful sight in an ugly time. So, here we go. I arrived at Mr. P's carnival to search for any leads on where he may be. Unfortunately, there was not much to be found besides an infected fox trapped in a cage. I shiver at the thoughts of how he could have possibly ended up like this. I met 2 survivors there, Zizzy and Pony. Zizzy was a cunning, skilled fencer, and Pony was a clumsy yet comforting ally. They were kind enough to allow me to join them. They told me they were on a supply run, but found me on the way and trusted me enough. As I was led back to their safe place, they spoke a lot about untrustworthy people, and I should watch out for them. It seemed that this whole situation really brought out the worst in some. So, this is saying that the player was looking all around the Mr. P's carnival, but only could find the infected fox. So he met 2 survivors, Pony and Zizzy. So basically, he describes them. He describes Zizzy as a fearsome, skillful person, and Pony as a clumsy but a comforting ally in the need of battle. So basically, Zizzy and Pony trusted the player enough to bring to join them and to bring them back to their safe place. So they basically say that there's untrustworthy untrustworthy people, which they're talking about TSP. So they're talking about TSP because they want to warn us just in case we see TSP. But we all know that in chapter 1, at least book 2, we already knew TS or Willow. So let's move on to chapter 9. So chapter 9, City. And the picture says, with all of that traffic, it looks like it must have been faster to just run. We arrived at the city, a rundown mess. They set up their safe house in a hotel, as they had plenty of beds and supplies. Recently, they've been running low. It was there I learned a few things about my 2 new allies. Zizzy taught her younger sisters. Z and Zuzi had a fight. Pony studied of Trazanism like his father. I told them my story and how I was searching for Mr. P. Saying his name struck something in me, a negative emotion that burned inside my gut. As we spoke, we discovered a mysterious figure watching us. It didn't seem to be unaffected, as it ran away when we noticed it. Zizzy and I ran after it. So I love the perspective. So basically, the player saying the city is that basically he's saying that the safe place is a hotel and they've been running low. And he learned a couple things about them. That Zizzy had taught her sisters how to fight. And Pony was studying Atrazanism, like his father, though. And basically, the player told him their story that he was searching for Mr. P. But when he was saying Mr. P, that something struck in his gut, and it was sinking, though, because he wanted revenge on Mr. P for Doggy and Bunny. But then basically, they found a mysterious figure, and the figure ran, so the player thought it wasn't infected. So he decided to go, and Zizzy tagged along with him. So let's do chapter 10 now. So, chapter 10, Mall. And then here we go, the picture. Jordy's hideout. I'm impressed with his survival skills. So, it says, we chased the figure to the mall, only discovered that it was Georgie, the missing child. He had a deep fear in his eyes when we found him in his little fort, coupled with an awful stench. I asked him why he was missing. He told me about his family. They visited the hospital without him. He came back acting strange. So he ran off to find his grandmother in the city in hopes that she could help him out. Fortunately for him, the city seemed to all act the same way his family did by the time he got here. So he hid himself. This poor, cruel world took his family away from him. I could not imagine what that must feel like at his age. So we brought him back to the safe house with us. It was there I met the safe place crew, Zizzy's sisters, Mimi and Giraffe. Mimi was a smart engineer. She knew her way around technology quite well. Giraffe was a tough guy with a strong passion for nature and ecology. He loved plants. The meeting was short-lived, however, as Mimi had managed to find a working helicopter signal at the nearby military outpost. Pony informed us of the news. We left Georgie in the care of the others as Pony, Zizzy, and I journeyed to the outpost. So, basically, this is the player's describing what Georgie said of his feelings, and the player feels bad for Georgie because he's young. So it's confirmed that Georgie's younger than 10, or he's 8 years old. He's most likely 8. I think I figured that out though with his height kind of, and but basically they met safe place members. So technically it was Pony who tracked down the helicopter signal. It was Mimi, so Pony informed them. So basically now they left Georgie in the care of them, while Pony, Zizzy, and him and the player left off to find Mr. P. So let's go to do chapter 11 now. Chapter 11, Outpost. So the picture says, looks like whoever plans they had, they abandoned it, I think. So here we go. The outpost was swarmed with infected soldiers. The 3 of us opened the sealed doors of the plant, where Mr. P presumably flew to. As I prepared to enter, Georgie showed up. He snuck out of the safe place and followed us. I was not pleased to see him at all, because he could have been easily harmed. It was a relief to see him unscratched, though. I can't say I was surprised after finding out how well he sang
sandwiched on his own. He wanted to see Mr. P, the one responsible for making his family act the way they did. I recklessly agreed to bring him along as long as he remained close and out of any more trouble. Georgie and I entered the plant, leaving Zizzy and Pony to fend off against the soldiers and protect us from being swarmed. It was there that we found Mr. P speaking it strangely. He seemed to hold a deep regret for his actions and could not seem to cope with them. When he realized we were there, he believed we were nothing but ghosts who had come to haunt him. Mr. P was unable to come to terms with reality and ran off. We followed him for final confirmation.
So basically, this is saying that Mr. P, or the player saying that there were a lot of infected soldiers, and when Zizzy and Pony ran off and opened the door. But basically, Georgie came along. But the player was surprised to see George, that he snuck out with us. So basically, the player decided to bring Georgie inside this because he proved himself by sneaking out and defending himself too with his bat. So basically, Mr. P, when they got in, Mr. P realized they were there, and Mr. P was acting strange though, and he thought they were nothing but ghosts that haunt him, so he ran off. And basically, the player and Georgie ran after him. So let's just move on to the final chapter, chapter 12. So here we go, chapter 12, the plant. So the image says, I couldn't imagine working near something like this all day, or in a facility like this at all. So here we go. Mr. P's dualism thoughts grew wilder as he began to attack us in an attempt to get us to leave him alone. We pursued in trying to get his attention, but he would not listen. He was in a world of his own, blinking by his own memories. It was not long before I, too, began to suffer from unwanted thoughts. I island through my own memories, being attacked by the past. I was searching for something, anything, to get me back to the real world. That was until I found a photo of Mr. P's wife. I showed it to him, and that was when it all came back to him. He finally came to terms with his actions, meaning us no longer as regretful memories. He told us his story. He did everything he could to save his wife, who was suffered from a sickness and caused the world to burn in the process. And then nothing hurt him more in this world than himself, and he was afraid of his actions. He became more and more desperate for solutions, sacrificing those closest to him in the process. Georgie was upset and wanted revenge, but I convinced him not to do anything to him. If he harmed Mr. P, he would not be any better than Mr. P. Was too blinded by his emotions to realize what he was doing, and if Georgie went through with it, he would have to suffer just like him. We soon left the plant, leaving behind Mr. P. Zizzy and Pony greeted us with great joy. Within the search for Mr. P finally over, we were unaware of what to do. We all stopped to take a moment to think. Then Georgie's face lit up as he came up with an idea. What if we looked for a cure? Maybe it wasn't such a ridiculous idea. We live in a world full of all sorts of people, so perhaps it wouldn't be too far-fetched to come across someone working on something that could help us out. There's only one way to find out. So this is gonna wrap it up for the video, ladies and gentlemen. But this wasn't that long, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But I was basically reading all the notes of all the chapters, which give us a more clear story of that chapter. But make sure you like, subscribe, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!